So in the upper right, you'll see settings, and I'll take you through all of those settings, lineups and schemes, and managing classes and drivers and all those types of things. So I'll take you through those settings. Using MRP Live with Orbits and how MRP integrates with Orbits. So this isn't an Orbits training so much as getting MyRacePass and Orbits to work together. We'll have a special focus on at the end of the night when you click the Create Payments button, how that interacts with the 1099 report. I'll take you through those things pretty closely. We'll go through the reports, and all of what's in, most of the reports, and a little bit closer look at those reports. And then I'll also have a short look at the advanced championship calculations and how that works as well. So that's kind of what you can expect here tonight, and we'll jump right in. We'll get started here. And I'll start right with registrations. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. So we're looking at a demo track. Your favorite track is what it's called. Basically, it's not any live data or anything that affects anybody else. So we have the freedom to kind of play around in here, similar to your guys' sandbox. Each track on the dashboard page has a sandbox that you can get to on the bottom of the screen. It shows up right here. That's how that works for you guys. If you guys want to do testing and don't want it to affect any of your live environment data, or have any thing like that happen, you go into the sandbox. That's what it's built for. This is kind of our sandbox. So we'll go through, like I said, we'll go through registrations. In previous sessions, I've created some seasons, created some events. So we're just going to add a registration here to one of them. Let's see. I'm going to add an event registration in this case. But as you can see, there are 3 different registration types. There's yearly registration. So think once a year annual registration that you put out there for your drivers. To register for your season. You can charge for that. There's an event registration. So registration that's obviously tied to a single event. If you want drivers to register for one single event, you can charge for that independently of our yearly registration. So both can exist together, and you can charge for both independently if you'd like. There's also a general registration, which is geared more towards non-racing events. Doesn't include all of the same data that are one of the other registration types will do. And we've seen those used most commonly for things like banquets or pit parties or something like that. So I'm just going to go through a single event registration here in this particular case. Let's see. Can't schedule the event by nice. There we go. We're going to do the 5:15 event. Perfect. You can see that there's an entry fee that you can put here, and there's a late fee that you can put here as well. So you can charge folks to enter the event, decide, at what point you're going to start charging it as past due or as late, and have a late fee in accordance with that. So again, you don't have to charge a late fee, but you have that option. And then you can, of course, choose the date that it opens and the date that it closes. Just for this particular case, I'm not going to have any kind of entry fee, but just so you guys are aware, if you do charge an entry fee, for anything, we disperse those funds to you through PayPal for the registrations. So if you're going to charge drivers to register, the minute they register, we collect the funds. When you confirm their registration, the money is sent to you via PayPal. So that's an instantaneous process. We're not holding that money. We don't charge you any fees to access, the registration part or charging for a registration. You're not going to see anything come out with MyRacePass. I don't know what kind of fee structure PayPal has. That's the only thing you have to worry about. We're not going to charge you anything to take or hold that money for the registrations. So we'll go ahead and add this. Takes you to this registration details screen where you can confirm some things. Again, the title, any additional information that you want your drivers to see when registering, the late fee, all of the prices, things of that nature, basically all the same information that we just set. And then classes. The classes are decided for an event registration by the classes that are a part of that event. So the event has to exist before the registration can happen or can be created. And so the classes that you make part of the event or the classes that you have to choose from here, you can see there's an additional price and an additional late fee for each class. So if you want some classes to cost more than others to register for, you can do it that way. That's a good way to do it. In this case, I only have one class as part of my event. If you, for whatever reason, only wanted half of your classes to be able to register, you would just make the ones that you don't need to register inactive by clicking this button here. and the entire registration gets made active right here. So I will do that. I will make it active. Two other buttons that I'll point you to here at the bottom of the screen. There's a button that says online registration. It takes you to your MyRacePass profile where this registration exists. So it'll take you exactly right to the registration. And then there's a share button. And the share button will allow you to push this registration and the link to it directly to your social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter. So it's an easy way to put that right on Facebook for yourself. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump right to the online registration here. We'll push it right out there. One thing that I would definitely recommend if you are going to charge for registrations is that before you I have to actually make it active, don't I? There we go. Let's save. But before you push the registration out on social media to all your drivers and make everybody aware that your registration's open, I would recommend to put in a test registration yourself. For a driver that or a family member, or just putting funds in your own PayPal account yourself. The reason for that is sometimes PayPal puts weird holds on new accounts or things of that nature. So you want to make sure that you got the registration in and everything's the avenue is open on the PayPal side of things before you press forward. So when you press share, it shares your social media page. Driver clicks on it, it brings them right here. It brings them to your favorite track, or I guess your track, and your MyRacePass profile. So you can see all that information here in your MyRacePass profile, but it'll bring them right to the registrations tab. You see there's only one registration open. It's the stock car registration. So I'm going to register as a stock car, as a new competitor. We'll continue there. There is a couple of options here. If you put in a registration already as a driver, you have the option to copy over all of your information from the previous registration to a new one. Or you can not import the previous registration data and type it all in new. I'll do that this time to show you that process. But just keep in mind that if they have registered for anything in the past and they're now registering a second time, it will literally take them 30 seconds to register for an event. I mean, it's a super fast and easy process. So we'll go ahead and continue through this. Stock cars, new competitor. Austin Lloyd, 205 Leland Street, Little Rock. There we go. All of that information's in there. I'll have you enter your date of birth. Whew, that's okay. I forgot for a second. One of the other features in this that's nice for you guys, especially in terms of entering drivers in the back gate, is if you can get them to register in advance, they can add their own team owner information. So they can add in all of this information for their team owner as well. And then if their owner or their driver receives the payout, it makes it really nice for you guys at the back gate, because if they do have a team owner associated with that car, now you don't have to worry about putting it in there. It's already in there for them. We're already paying the owner, all of those things. Sometimes if it's a new team owner, it can take a little bit to try to add that. But this just makes it a little bit faster and easier for you guys. Also has them put in their contact information. Just put myself there. Perfect. Okay, we're good to go. It forces them to request numbers. The reason for that is to make it easier for you guys to not have duplicates. So if when you confirm the registration, you'll be able to see the numbers that they requested, and if somebody else has already requested the same number in the same class, then you just move them on to option number 2, things of that nature. They can allow them to register as a rookie if they want to put some information in terms of how they've raced, or their transponder number. And again, if they put in if they have their own transponder, they own their own transponder, that number is never going to change, obviously. So they'll put in their own transponder number, and it'll make that transponder the default number when they go to the race each night. So we'll continue. Perfect. There we are. Confirm, agree, complete registration. And that is how long it takes a driver to register for your event at your track. And again, if they've already saved all of their personal information, like their name and address and phone number and emergency contacts and all that stuff, and they're doing it a second time, man, that's a 30-second process to get drivers to register. So I know a lot of them are going to throw their hands up, they're going to stomp their feet, and they're going to complain about change or whatever else. But if you can talk them into registering, that's going to save you a lot of time at the back gate, especially on night number 1. Another nice thing about registration here is if I will go to this event that I'm putting in the registration for. I think it was May 15, pretty sure. Yep, there we go. Perfect. So if I'm going to go to race management for that event, and again, you had them do an event registration. When I go to the entries window, let me remove myself here. Your competitors list will always show you a list of the drivers that have recently entered or recently run at your racetrack to make it easier for you to find drivers that are running with you more than once the second night out. But if you have drivers pre-register, you can come right to pre-entries. And I must have registered for a different event, not this one. But you should be able to come right to pre-entries, and the entry will show there. Actually, I know exactly why it's not. It's because I haven't confirmed it yet. Okay, so the driver registered. You would come in here. This would be the second step for you. You confirm them. You would tie the registration to the competitor profile, put in the number you want them to have by default. Allow duplicate entries if you're allowing the same driver to register for the same class more than once. Sometimes that comes into play if they're going to run half the year on their own and run half the year for a different owner or something like that. So that can come into play at times. Otherwise, it won't allow duplicate entry. Or the has all forms option. This is an option that we just put in there recently here. If you're making drivers fill anything out in terms of forms that exist outside of MRP, this is like basically a yes/no toggle to track if they've turned those things in or not. So tax information, pit spot registration, whatever that you make them turn in outside of MyRacePass in paper. If they've turned it in, yes. If they haven't turned it in, no. It'll either be a green check or a red X when they go to enter. So we'll confirm this registration. And now if I come to race management, I'm still not there. I must have registered for a different event. No, I'm already in here. That's the difference. Okay. Why is it not showing up there? It should. I think this is because the program's getting confused because I register what I'd already entered. But it should show up in pre-entries if you haven't registered for them for the event already. So I'll jump in here, put myself in here. There we go. I think I had to be 10-10. So that is registrations in a nutshell. Basically, how you would create a registration, the different types of registrations that exist, and how a driver would go about registering for an event or for a season. Again, just as a reminder, if you charge for it, that money comes to you through PayPal. So we have to have the email address associated with your PayPal account before you can charge for registration. That's kind of the big number one most important topic in this. But that's definitely something to keep in mind. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? You can put them in the chat. There's a messaging window over here. If you have any questions regarding the registration process, send them in now. And if not, we'll move on to online tickets. Okay. In that case, I'm going to jump ahead. If you do have any questions throughout the course of the webinar, feel free to put them in the messaging window that Google Meet has there in the upper right-hand corner, and we can and I'll get to those as I can basically. But I'm going to jump ahead to online tickets here. The process of adding online tickets. So we'll just start out adding a ticket right here, a brand new ticket. We have to have an event that we tie the ticket to. We can do that by date. What was our event? May 15, I think. Perfect. May 15. There we go. So we'll add a ticket for that date. The ticket name is almost always the same thing as the race name. If you want to change the ticket name, you absolutely can. Otherwise, you can just leave it at whatever the race name was. You can set availability, pre-sale availability, and then you can set the times for when the gates open and the races start so that fans can see that information on the ticket when they buy it. The next option down is if the event is canceled, what you want to do with the tickets, the event that's rained out. So you can either have them fully refunded to everybody, or you can rain check them for the next event of the same type And then, you know, if in the event that the tickets are rained or the event is rained out, you can then choose the the rain check date that you want to honor them for. I said that in registrations, we send that money to you via PayPal. In ticketing, in our ticket management screen, we do it a little bit differently. We actually do it ACH. So we send that money directly to your bank account. The reason for that is in the event that something gets canceled. So the process works like this. A fan buys a ticket from us. We hold on to that money. You know, you get all of your fans to buy all of your tickets. We hold on to that money throughout that process. You race on Saturday. Monday, you log into MyRacePass and you tell us one of two things. Either A, the race happened, or B, it got canceled. If the race happened, we ACH all those funds directly to your bank account, so you get them in a lump basically after the event happened. In the event that the show is canceled or rained out or whatever else, this is where it's nice, actually. We handle those refunds. We send all of the money back to the individual purchasers of the tickets, so you don't have to deal with that process. If any of you guys have gone through other ticketing platforms or done tickets yourself where you had to handle the refunds, you know it's a pain in the neck and it takes a long time to have to worry about it and stuff like that. So that's the big advantage of doing tickets through ACH the way we do them, is, you know, the rain check or refund process. So you don't have to worry about that at all. And then, of course, you know, you get the ticket money in a lump sum the next day, basically after the tickets or after the event happens. In terms of the types of tickets you want to sell, there's a lot of different ticket types on here for different price points and availabilities. So, I mean, you can see everything that exists in here, you know, senior citizens, general admission, VIP, whatever else. I mean, there's a lot of different options that you have available. And if we don't have an option in here that you want, you can just rename one of our options to whatever you want it to be. I'm not going to do that right now. In terms of availability, if you leave it blank and make the ticket active, it'll just act as an infinite number of tickets for that availability. So there's no limit to them being sold. If you put in a -1, it's also infinite. So you'll see that in other screens. If you left it blank, you'll see a -1 other places. That's what that means. Doesn't mean they're sold out. It just means there's an infinite number available. If you put any other number in here, that's the amount that it'll sell. So you put 500 in the general admission box. The 501st person trying to buy a ticket, they'll just see a message that these tickets have been sold out. So that's how that works. And also you can set a price and a pre-sale price if you have a pre-sale filled in up here. The only thing that we don't have the ability to do with our online tickets right now, and I say right now because this could change. It won't change for 2021. Don't expect this to be an imminent change, but down the line it may change. But the one thing that we can't do right now is individual seats. So like if you're trying to sell, you know, row 7, seat 5, we can't do the individual seat like that. We can just do the sections, general admission section, VIP section, things of that nature. So if you're looking for individual seats, you know, let us know, and then we can maybe try to kick that into development into high gear, because it is something that we've looked at, but it's not available as of right now. So if we're going to put in $10 general admission tickets, $5 kids tickets, and $8 senior citizen tickets, perfect. Okay, we've added all of those tickets. There's a couple of other things that we can show you here. So you can see the tickets have been added. They exist right here. They are active by default. So as soon as you create the tickets, if it's already within that window of availability, they'll come out as active by default. We'll click into this ticket. You can edit all of that same information that we put in by clicking that button right there. Again, that's editing the same information. You can edit the availability that we talked about as well. So the tickets that exist already. This is where you see that -1. That means there's an infinite number, or you can add different ticket types or whatever else. That's what you're editing there. Ticket poster. If you have some kind of event flyer or poster advertising your event, you can put it in this ticket poster box, and then when fans go to your MyRacePass profile and they see an advertisement for other shows that have tickets, they'll see that ticket poster, that ticket flyer, along with the ticket option. And then coupons, basically something that we put on the back of the ticket. If you want to, basically, is what this comes down to. And if you have the offer in an image, you can put 3 images on the back of your ticket. And that we call it coupons. You can use it as a coupon. We kind of look at it as if you want to give, people who bought online tickets discounts at the concessions or merchandise stand. You can do it that way. If you've got somebody sponsoring your races that night and they want to give away merchandise or like 50% off oil changes or whatever, if they can get you their logo and that basically in an image, you can upload that image to the back of the ticket and have coupons working for you that way. You can add a picture to your ticket. Usually we just see his track logo, but again, it'll work in conjunction with the ticket poster as well. So basically those do the same job. The get funds or full refunds, that's the button that you click on when the event is over. So, come Monday, you ran your show Saturday, it was successful. This is the button you click on to get your money. The way that works is you click on this button. It will send a text to whoever phone number is listed underneath the main admin on the account. The main admin on the account will confirm via that text that, yes, okay, we did request this. And then, boom, money goes to your account. Whatever the ACH process is, like, 1 to 2 days later or something like that. Once you've created a ticket, there's a couple of other things you can do here. If the item is featured, shows up right here. Featured items in their profile when fans go to buy tickets. Featured items show up on top as opposed to through the chronological list. They'll show up in both places, but featured ones will go on top. If it's on sale or not, basically you check that box, or if it's available. And again, on sale, just as if it's at that discounted rate. If you make it on sale, we'll sell it at the pre-sale rate all the time. You can take a look at your sold tickets. Click on that button. Obviously, there's no tickets here that have been sold, but that was where you can see the sold tickets right there. And then ticket window is if you have a scanner. If you've got a scanner for your tickets, and actually one of the new features that we put into the mobile application this year in time for this racing season, and it is active and live now, is anybody who's an admin on the account who signs into the app on an Apple device. It's only for Apple right now. But if you've got the app on your Apple device and you're an admin on the account, there is a ticket scanner in the app. So you can scan tickets as they come through the front door with your phone in the app. Bing, it works perfect, takes less than a second. Doesn't allow duplicate tickets to be scanned, so you can't scan the same ticket one time. Works really slick and easy like that. But this is a screen for you to come into, and you can see the tickets that have not been scanned yet and the tickets that have been scanned yet if you have a ticket scanner. So that's pretty slick as well. And then, of course, you can share the ticket to Facebook and Twitter right there. Pretty easy, pretty fast there as well. There's one other thing that I'd like to show regarding online tickets. To do that, I'm actually going to jump into a different racetrack's profile here, just because I know that they have ticket data and ticket information. But it's another brand new page that we just rolled out here within the last month and a half or so. It's called Ticket Analytics, and I think it's probably one of the coolest things that we've done regarding online tickets at all, basically, since we made them available. So I really like the opportunity to show you that. Ticket Analytics will show you a lot of information all on the same screen, but it's all really good and useful information. So there's just a heat map image of basically where people have purchased tickets from. You can see that right in this screen, tickets sold, unique customers, unique zip code, and then the furthest traveled right there. It'll show you broken out by city where people are buying tickets from, which to me, I would definitely use as, potentially a way to see where I should put my radio advertising or something like that. I mean, if you're doing radio ads in Rock Valley, they're probably not paying off in the same way that radio ads in Laverne or Sioux Falls might. So, I mean, definitely think about that. The distance traveled, are people in your backyard buying the tickets, or are they people from, ways away? In this case, mostly close to the racetrack. The purchase dates, how far in advance are they purchasing the ticket? Purchase prices, what tickets are they buying based on the available price? Again, the ticket type that they're buying, gender demographics, age demographics if they're available, and then tickets sold by event. You can have an event by event breakdown of who's buying the tickets basically. The nice thing about that is on the event by event breakdown, I can come right here and I can click event analytics here, and I can get the ticket analytics for that specific event as opposed to the entire season. So you can start to look at changing demographics or changing online ticket behavior from your modified crowd, to your late model crowd, to your sprint car crowd, or if you have a monster truck event, what that demographic looks like. It's going to be a little bit different, things of that nature. And then there's a button down here on the bottom that says print report. That will actually give you the customer's information that bought the tickets. So name and email address and physical address. So if you are having something completely off the wall that's different from what you normally do, you're having a snowmobile race and you've never done that before, you can start to see right here, okay, if I do this a second time, now I can market to the same people that came to the first one. If I have MailChimp or some kind of email marketing platform or something like that. So there's a lot of really valuable information here, and I think this is going to make online tickets even more valuable than it already was. The idea behind online tickets is if somebody's coming to the racetrack, they're usually going to bring around the same amount of money every time. They usually go to the ATM, then come to the racetrack. If they have to spend half of that money, let's say I come with $40. If I've got to spend $20 on the ticket gate, I'm going to spend $20 other places. Statistics have added up to say folks spend about how much cash they have when they go to events. So if, you're going to come with $40, you're going to spend half of that. Now I got $20 left over for merchandise and concessions or whatever else. However, if I bought my ticket weeks ago for this event in preparation knowing I was going to come, I still come to the event with that same $40. Now I'm probably going to spend that $40. Statistically speaking, it backs up. I'm probably going to spend most of that $40 regardless. So if I didn't have to buy a ticket when I got there, you're going to make more money on your concessions or your merchandise or whatever else. So something to keep in mind, and I think something that makes online tickets pretty valuable. I'm going to jump ahead here right quick. I'm going to jump to the settings screen. I said we were going to have some settings, things that we were going to look at. So we'll look at a couple of these options. The first thing we'll look at is lineup settings. The lineup settings basically is a list of all of the lineup options that we have that exist in the program. As you can see, there are a ton of them. Lineup settings, this screen basically allows you to put a check mark in the checkbox of the lineups that you plan to use that night or throughout the course of the season or whatever. What that does is when you're calculating lineups, there's two screens when you're calculating lineups. There's My Lineups and All Lineups. If you check a box here, it'll show up in your My Lineup screen when you're creating lineups. If you don't check it, it's not going to show up there. So it's a good idea to figure out what your formats are going to be. Pick the lineups that you want to use so they show up in My Lineups and you don't have to scroll through the whole list trying to figure out what you want to do on race night. So that is lineup settings. We're going to jump down to schemes here as well. There's a couple of different types of schemes that can exist, and I'll go through all of them with you. There's championship points schemes, lineup point schemes, and payouts. And I'll show you those. So first, I'll show you this global or sanction schemes. There are a lot of different things that we can do here. You can see that IMCA has their own schemes built in for points for those classes. So you can make those active if that's what you're going to do. Same thing with the USRA general point system. There's also some passing point schemes that exist in here, ASCS, and I know WSOTA and USMTS, things of that nature. And so there's a lot of different schemes in here. So if you know that what your sanctioning body does might already be in here, check the global ones before you do anything. But in the event the global things do not apply to you, you can create your own schemes. I'll kind of show you how these work. So we'll create a scheme for the event that I'm going to show you today. First off, if you're doing a point scheme, you can have show-up points or start points. That's how you put those in right there. The minimum number of races that you have to start before you can receive any of the points below. So if you've got in here 0 and it's a DNS, or if you've got in here 1, you have to start one race and your driver's a DNS, then he doesn't receive points basically. We'll add a breakdown here. We'll add a feature breakdown. We're not going to award passing points for our championship point scheme. We have to pick a feature, don't we? Okay, there we go. Perfect. You can, again, the option for passing points, what kind of points options are going to exist if they DNF or DQ or black flag or all of those things. And if there's a minimum number of competitors, if you don't reach that minimum, what happens to the point scheme? Those are things that you can put in down there. I am going to add 10 breakdowns here. My points will start at 150 to win. They'll decrease by 5 for each position. There we go. 1 through 10, all get, basically that many points decreasing by 5. 11 plus get 0. Again, you can add different options here. So if I wanted to add 10 more positions, starting at 100, decreasing by 5, I can do that. There we go. 11 through 20 now, decreasing by 5. 21 and over get 0. You can add breakdowns for any race you run, basically B mains, A mains, heat races, whatever you want to award points for. I'm just going to do that for the A main finishers right now. Perfect. If I do a pay scheme, it works much the same, very similarly. Start pay, non-start pay for DNSs. Minimum starting races to receive pay. I don't know if that has ever, come into play, but potentially it could. What we're going to do for the features, same options exist here. DNF, DQ, DNS, black flag, all of those things. Because I'm only going to have 10 cars in my show, I'm only going to pay out 10 spots. I'm going to have it be a big event, though. We're going to pay 10 grand to win, decreasing by, I don't know, $1,000 every position. We'll add that. I did not do something right. Okay, let's try that over again a second time. How's that sound? Oh, that's what I did wrong. Okay. The formatting tools in here don't like apostrophe or don't like commas. So if you're doing thousands and you put a comma in the 1,000 tool, it's not gonna like that at all. Otherwise, though, that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's where we are. We're not going to pay 10,000 for 11th, though. That's for darn sure. There we are. Okay, so we'll save that. Now we've got a scheme for points. We've got a scheme for pay. That's all well and good. The other scheme that exists that we can add for is a lineup scheme, and this is if you're going to do a custom passing point scheme. So the passing point schemes on global that already exist, lineup scheme with that name already exists. Okay, the global schemes that already exist don't work for you. This is where you can come in and add your own breakdown for passing points. Again, in terms of passing points, really it's only going to come into play during the heat races. But if you want to award 5 points for every position gained, and you want to take away 1 point for every position lost, basically that's how you can do it. And then you'll add your finishing positions the same way as well. So we'll have 100 points and you'll gain 5. I don't know. That's basically not worth anything, but we could do it that way if you wanted to. And so basically that's how that would work. You can have it, we'll just do this. And so now you have a scheme for passing points as well, and that'll show up in your My Points list. So those are definitely things that keep an eye on. If you got questions about the passing point schemes, a lot of that can get pretty, convoluted and difficult. And you really have to know what you want to do before you start messing with that stuff. So it's definitely a good idea to reach out to us first before you start thinking about what to do with passing point schemes. If we continue looking at the settings going down the list, manage classes is here for renaming classes. This is used for 2 big purposes. First, if you're running a class by a name that we don't have, for instance, if you're running Pro Lights for your snowcross events, you can just rename one of our class names, the name that you need it to be, trying to keep pretty similar, with the class type. Like if you're running pony stocks, maybe choose stock cars and rename them pony stocks or something like that. Don't try to rename 410 sprint cars like Mod Lights, because things don't really add up there. And if there ever is a glitch in the system and somebody registers for a Mod Light class and it comes back and says, all right, you're in the 410 sprint cars, you don't want to freak somebody out like that. So that's something to keep in mind. But the other big reason for this screen as it exists is the name for the name overrides is sponsors. If you've got a class sponsor, instead of dirt late models, you can have the Bob's Garage late models, and that way that shows up in the app, on the lineup screens, everywhere. Basically everywhere your class is listed, the class sponsor will be there as well. So those are really the 2 big reasons to use the manage classes screen. And as we keep going through the list, we're going to have managed drivers as well. Managed drivers is a good place to set some information in here. If you want to change their default car number, it's a lot easier to do it in entries, but you can do it here as well. If you want to change their default transponder, you can change it here as well. Again, easier to do it in entries, but you can do it here as well. You can also assign a MyRacePass card from this screen. So I would say, for this purpose, if this is information that you're gathering that you didn't get in registration and you're not putting in on race night, put it in here. Otherwise, it's a lot easier to put it in on the entry screen. If you remove a driver from this list, what that will do is it won't erase any of their information. But if you've got a website through us, a lot of the websites have a drivers tab where all the drivers that have run with you in each class are listed there. If you remove a driver from this list, just means that it won't show on the drivers tab of your website. So if you've got a traveler who came in who you don't want to be recognized the same way as you recognize your weekly competitors on your website, you can remove them from this list that way. So I'm going to move on from there. If you have any questions about that, put them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them at the end of the session. I'm running a little bit long here, and I want to get through orbits as well. So we're going to jump right in here into our orbits integration. First place you'll go when you're setting up MRP Live is you'll come right here to this MRP Live tab on the screen that you're running. So we're going to pretend today is May 15, and we're going to run a race. The first thing you'll do is if you've not run a race before using transponders and connecting that to MyRacePass, you're going to want to download the MRP Live application. That will put a file into your file explorer in your downloads folder. You'll unzip that file, find the .exe to install it. There's a list of instructions on our MRP Help Center, and you can also get a hold of me if you're doing it for the first time. But it'll eventually have you install this. This is MRP Live. This is the installable application. What I would recommend is, regardless if you're going to work the lineups through that computer or not, have MyRacePass Race Manager open in the background of the same computer that you're running transponders on, and have MRP Live open and running in the background of the same computer that you're using the transponders on. It makes it feed back into the MyRacePass program a lot more easy, a lot simpler. So when you get this installed, there's a couple of pieces of information that you'll have to put in here. You'll have to decide, okay, what live timing platform am I using? Again, you'll probably decide that one time ever, and it'll never change, but that's what it is. What's the IP address of the computer that's running live timing? You get that out of Orbits. Because I'm in a demo environment of Orbits, it's not actually going to show me that in setup, but most of the time it'll show you that in setup, or it'll show you that in various places in Orbits. But you put in the IP address there of that computer, and you put in the port number. The port number is almost always 50,000. I don't say 100% always, because sometimes tracks do weird things. If they have like a scoreboard that the transponder computer is pushing to the scoreboard, they might have already used that port or something like that. More than likely, it's always going to be 50,000. And then this MRP Live code. This is the thing that you'll actually change every race night. When you're in MRP Live for the individual race night that you're running, you'll find this code here. Copy that code, paste it here. MRP Live code right there, and then connect, basically. The assignments path will probably never change as well. It's just the initial folder in your file explorer that you want the information to go to. Once it's there, you don't really need to change it unless you want to have a different folder for every race night or something. So I'll connect. And I am now connected MRP Live to this Orbits right here. So the way that works, I've got to set my lineups. I'll calculate my lineups from Pildraw. Perfect. I've got a race lineup with 10 cars. I'll save that. I'll come to MRP Live. I'll press Get Lineups, and the groups and runs have all been loaded now. So when I come back to Orbits, the initial process here is importing your groups and runs. So I'll find my groups. Perfect. Next, we're there. MRP stock cars. That's my group. That's my list of competitors. Now I've selected MRP stock cars. I will import my runs next. That is the lineups, basically, that we've got. I'll go over to timing. A lot of times people hit the purple flag first as cars are rolling around the speedway under yellow to avoid starting. This is if you go under Tools in Orbits, you can see the this track simulator here. So the track simulator, I'll start it here. We're going to go 4 times speed because that is slow. There we go. Throw the green flag on them, and this is the most fun part of the night. This is like you're at a real racetrack. This is where you actually watch the race cars, not just numbers on the screen. So there we go. You can see as the cars go around the racetrack, their transponders hit. Now that we've gone 2 laps, we're going to finish that. Yes, I want to stop timing of the heat race. And I'll come right back here. When I go to results, you can see there's a link here. Last pending race. This date, which is today's date. It's not the actual event date. It's today's date, but theoretically that should always be the same date. Heat race number 1. If I click this button or click this link, it will do the same exact thing. MRP live, import. There's your finishing order. That's how fast and easy that should be. You don't have to do the import on the same computer that the transponders are running in. I just would definitely advise to have this up and running in the background on that same computer and have MRP Live installed on the same computer. So that person presses get lineups. That's all they have to do. When the race is over, you'll come back here. If you see something's wrong in the import, you want to try it again, just hit reset. Brings the import over again. And this is obviously the same screen where you DNF, DNS, whatever else all the way through. Save that as completed. I'll go back to lineups for the feature. I'll calculate lineups from the heats and Vs. Again, you'll save. Come right back here and press get lineups again. When I come back to the live timing computer, import the runs the second time. Perfect. You can see the 8 features there. We'll time out the 8 feature. This should still be running, I think, in the background. So, oh, it's already finished. Let's try that again. Okay, now it's running in the background again. Perfect. We're not going to run all 10 laps, but at least you can kind of see how this works when we get across the line one time. We'll let them go 2 laps. Okay, they're all across the line a second time. Again, okay. Come back here, go to results. 8 features the latest pending race. So it just automatically updates the latest pending race. Last time I clicked this button, this time I click this button. You can see it does the same thing. There's our finishing order. Biff Beef Jr. from Pfeffermouth, Massachusetts got the win. You can tell that's a fake name. And there we go. That's the process of making MRP Live and Orbits work together. There's a lot of gray hair, a lot of pulling hair out regarding this, and there's one big reason for that. It's because you can't get MRP Live to run and to work in the sandbox. You can't, there's no testing for this, basically. You can test everything in the sandbox except for MRP Live won't connect because it's not a legitimate race. What I would recommend to do is to definitely take advantage of your test and tune nights or of your practice nights. Throw some transponders on a couple of cars. Pretend like with those transponder numbers, you're setting up a real event, and take advantage of those practice nights and make sure you work out any bugs that night. That way, you practice on a Thursday, your first race is on a Friday. Thursday night, nothing works. You can call me Friday morning and say, hey, we couldn't get this to connect. Look at what we're doing here. We can share screens. We can figure out what's going on. We can try to make it work that way. You can see when it's working as it's supposed to, it's really simple and easy and fast. You get 24 cars. You're talking about getting all those results, put in there in 5 seconds and completed in 5 seconds and all those things. Basically, you're waiting longer for tech at this point. Have you implemented a breakout time to import into groups? Jennifer, I'd like you to reach out to me via email regarding that, and I'll get back with you tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure what the vernacular means there, and I just want to make sure I answer your question correctly. So I'll get with the dev guys, and I'll get your question in front of them and make sure that everything's answered the right way. Cool. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions regarding the orbits specifically? We'll do Westhold later tonight. Westhold's coming later on, but orbits specifically before we move on here. If not, I'm going to jump right down into our points and pay tab. Again, this is not an entire race management training, but I do want to show you this create payments button and what it does. So we'll add our points and pay groups. I'm going to add the 515 points and the 515. Did I seriously do 515 4? I'm going to assume that's the same one, pay. And then we'll go from there. Add that. You can see how it automatically gave the points and payout. There's still an adjustment field if you're giving someone bonus points or bonus pay or docking either for whatever reason. But yeah, there it is. And you can add show points or whatever else. The reason that I wanted to go through this is because I really wanted to have you guys pay close attention to this create payments button at the bottom of the screen. Create payments is what pushes this payout information into our 1099 reports. We don't gather social security number information, but we do gather addresses. We do gather how much money you make throughout the course of the year, and we do gather if you're paying the driver or the owner, so we know who made the money. And with those three things, you can export that, and you can take your social security number that you gathered through a different means and put them in the same document and use that to calculate your 1099. So it is valuable, and of course we can also import all that information right into QuickBooks. So this QuickBooks button. There's a special file type that gets created to use in QuickBooks. That's how you calculate that special file type, and you can import that right into QuickBooks. And let me kind of show you this as well. This is the other part of this that I want to show you. This 1099 report, this is how it works. So as long as your drivers are registered or you've gathered their information, you're going to see who gets paid. You're going to see their address, if they're a competitor or an owner, and how much they earned. And it'll only show you how much they earned as long as it's more than $600. You can switch this to all payees, and you can see through other stuff. I've got drivers who won't be on there. But if you switch this to 600 and up, now you can just basically export this right into Excel, and it does everything you need it to do that way. You can also see that this report is broken down driver by driver, so you can see for this dollar amount what nights go into that dollar amount and what the payment date was. So you can see when they got paid, how much they got paid, for what events they got paid for, and all those things. Makes it pretty simple and slick for you that way. So definitely make sure you hit that create payments button at the end of every race night in points and pay. It's super important because that's what pushes the information to this 1099 report and makes it so much easier to calculate accurate 1099s at the end of the year. As we look through the rest of the reports here, there's a lot of things in here. The entry lists, transponder lists. In the transponder list report also, you'll be able to see, and we're not going to have a great example of this because we don't do anything with renting transponders. You're going to be able to see if the transponder is rented or not. So when you throw the print the transponder list at the end of the night, have somebody basically go around. If the box is checked, make sure you get a transponder back from that person, whatever else, and and they can sign off on it as well. And you can makes it really easy to make sure you know who still owes you a transponder at the end of the night. Otherwise, there's a lot of stuff in here. If you calculate provisionals, I'm not going to go through each and every one of these reports, but there's a lot of stuff in here. The lineup sheet is a lot of times what folks use. Go back to that same event that we just ran here. A lot of times, you'll see the lineup sheet. This is the report that's printed off and handed out to announcers or scorers or whoever basically needs lineups. The man manning the chute to get cars onto the track, whatever else. This is the lineup. This is the report that's generally printed. You can actually. All types, just heat races, just features, whatever else. There's a lot of different options on here. So you can export that different ways, or you can print it off right from here, obviously. That's what I prefer. When I'm in the booth and I'm getting paper lineups, that's the format that I prefer. There's also an event lineups and a chalkboard style lineups as well. I'll show you those. so you can kind of compare and contrast, I guess. Some prefer this format because it also lists the hometown for the driver. So that's kind of nice. Gives it to you that format. And then the chalkboard lineups. You know, I haven't really seen this one used as much, but it still exists for your use if you'd like to do it that way. Chalkboard lineups, a lot more simple view if you want to do it that way. Actually, this wouldn't be bad either because I use numbers for everything in Excel, so I could make that work. But you can see that there's you know, a couple different reports there in terms of results, event results, qualifying results, whatever else. There is another report in these point reports that I want to show you, the 1, 2, or 3 race point average. So you know, you can do that through point average. And Sam, yeah, you can send that to a separate display. I'll tell you this flat out. I've got I'm actually going to show you something else. When I'm announcing at Houston's, we have another computer monitor mounted to the wall there all the time that never moves, and we actually have that. We go back to lineups here. Go to tools, lineup monitor, based on screen size. There's nothing in here now because all of our races are done. We've completed all of our races. But if I go back here to results and I make the A main not completed, does it have to be in progress? Maybe it has to be in progress. I don't know. You know what? It's save it as pending. That's the problem. I have to come back here to races and make it pending. That's the issue. But I use this lineup monitor screen for my lineup. So this is what can be sent to a different display. And if it's just always up there, you don't have to refresh. You don't have to F5. It's just always there. That's really slick and easy for you as well. But going back to reports, there's a lot of things in reports. Depending on what you need, you're going to have a lot of different issues in here. Again, the 1099 reports right here. And then, you know, all of the competitor information is there as well. So, you know, depending on what you're looking for, make sure you know, cycle through those and see what works best for you guys and what you're going to need. The last thing I'll show you here real quick is advanced championship calculations. So I'll go to a point standing here. Back to 21. Woo, I haven't had it any. Okay. Perfect. Okay, there we go. Advanced championship calculations are, and I've already created one as you can see, but basically I'll show you this really quickly here. For a single class, I'll do it for the stock cars. You'll set your dates, your start date and your end date of what you want this to be. Normally, people just do the entire year because it makes it a lot more easy to encompass the entire season. But you basically add a set of championship rules. What was our event? May? Yeah, we'll go May 1 to May 15. Perfect. When I come in here, there's my stock cars, change selected rules, add a new rule set. What this does is if you're running 15 events and you only want the top 12 events to be tallied for point standings, everybody will run 15 events, but the program will only take their top 12 points nights for the championship. Same thing again. If you do it the opposite way, you drop the bottom 3 events. Or if you want to calculate points for rookie competitors only to give yourself a rookie champion, you can do it that way. If there's a point multiplier night, something like that, you can set what the multiplier will be. Or if you have like a senior division or something like that, you can, you know, minimum age 65, whatever else. So there's special advanced championship rule calculations. More often than not, this is used for throwing out your worst night or your worst 2 nights or something like that. But you can use it for a couple of other things. I do want to make mention of the fact that this advanced championship calculation is only on our partner plan. So if you have a plus or platinum plan and you think, oh man, this would be really something that I would need to do, you might need to give us a call and talk about getting into a different plan to make sure you have access to this. Again, not everybody does. But if you're in our partner plan, you can use the advanced championship calculation here to do rookie points or dropping bad points nights or something like that. So that's kind of what that's used for. So that was a lot of things quickly. You know, we've covered registrations and tickets. Some of the settings in the upper right there, the orbits tie-in, some of the reports, the create payments button reports, and the championship calculations. That's a lot of stuff. This is only one webinar. There's another webinar coming up in an hour at 7:30 Central Time. But I will say, if you've got any questions right now, we're running a little bit short on time, so it's probably going to be best served to email them. Austin.Lloyd@MyRacePass.com is where you can find me via email. I'll put that right into the chat here, so you can copy and paste if need be. If I can spell my own name, there we go. So that's there. If you got any questions, let me know. If you have any questions about, hey, you know, I want to do this lineup setting or that passing point lineup, or this is my idea, do you have something like that already? You know, ask the question. I'll be happy to take a look with you and figure something out. And if we need to, you know, go through a training that way. Again, this will be on YouTube within the next couple of days. You'll be able to find that on our YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search MyRacePass. It'll be all right there. Last week Mondays are already uploaded. Everything else will be uploaded here imminently. We can kind of go that way. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, taking time out of your night. You know, we're gonna go enjoy the next hour, and I'll see you back here at 7:30. For WSOTA tracking purposes, I know that WSOTA folks have to be at a certain number or whatever that number is. So for WSOTA tracking purposes, send me an email, austin.lloyd@myracepass.com, so we can search, include your name, include the racetrack that you're with, and then include the code thunderstorm, because we had our first thunderstorm in Iowa today. It thundered. It scared the hell out of me. So include the code thunderstorm and send me your name and track. And you know, again, I appreciate the heck out of it. I'm going to shut this one down. We'll be back on in an hour. There'll be a new link, a new code. So make sure you find that new link, and we can kind of go from there. So I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.